Ain't no days off, keep it, make no mistake. I be on my BI 25A, 15 flat, 365 straight. Texas is where I stay, so here you mean ain't great. Ain't no days off, keep it, make no mistake. I be on my BI 25A, 15 flat.
Officials had told the news media. During the news conference, Beto O'Rourke, a Democrat running for governor, was quickly escorted out after interrupting the proceedings. That swiftness at the school would have been awesome, he said. I mean, I guess, Carrie, I just want to come back, and I really want to understand. The eyewitnesses did not see anyone rushing into the school, but they heard gunshots. You think of, the stories of 9/11, let's roll. I mean, was there a sense among the parents that if they won't do it, we will?
Absolutely. In fact, that's what they were attempting to do when they were held back. I mean, their children were inside. They were willing to give their own lives to get in there. So absolutely. But they were being held back by the officers who are now outside setting up a perimeter. And there were hundreds of people here at that point. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's easy for a lot of people to go back and want to start second guessing a lot of this. But there are certain things that have been learned in this country since the school shooting, really, in Columbine. And one of them is that officers don't hold back. They go in. When you hear them talk about negotiations and there's no back and forth, I'm not sure negotiation is the right word. We know from Parkland that when they had a gunman there on the loose and had yet to apprehend him, they went to look at the camera system and rewind the video and look at it. We know this school has a camera system. We know that they have had a chance now to review it, but in the crisis of the moment, to review that tape, to say, okay, we know where he is, we know what he did, we see the hallways, they can start making decisions like that. And then if we're looking at what happened in Parkland and applying it now with those lessons learned, or maybe lessons that weren't learned, we know that the deputy there, Scott Peterson, did not go in, and now faces some charges himself for his lack of action. And now the officers here are being questioned about their lack of action. In the crisis, when a gun is pulled and there's bullets flying and it's an AR-15 style weapon, I think it's a .233 round. I mean, it can go through a door. It can go through if you held a desk up. Yes, it does all of that. But the officers who were responding had a responsibility to do more. And that's what we're hearing from the family members here, that they expected more of the officers in this crisis, to figure something out and not just wait it out, which is what they feel happened, that they had to wait it out until the Border Patrol team came with the proper gear, the shields, and the train.
They couldn't stand their ground in a gunfight with him. They couldn't make entry into the school, and so they backed off. And then they waited for the tactical team 60 minutes. And there are so many questions about that. And one of them is the Uvalde Police Department has a SWAT team. And there's a Facebook post from 2 years ago with that SWAT team posting about how they visited schools and buildings in the area to get the lay of the land so that they could better respond to emergency situations. Where was that SWAT team in the hour while they were waiting for the Border Patrol tactical team to come? Did anybody go around to the window of the classroom where this gunman was barricaded in? What efforts were made to try to find out what was going on in there? It's really just unfathomable. And law enforcement officials who are watching this across the country, as Tom Winter said earlier on the air, are aghast at what happened here.
I want to bring Frank in with a little bit more reporting from the families and the eyewitnesses. This is from the Wall Street Journal. This reporting just dropped, Frank. Ms. Gomez, a farm supervisor, said that she was one of numerous parents who began encouraging, first politely, and then with more urgency, police and other law enforcement to enter the school. After a few minutes, she said federal marshals approached her and put her in handcuffs, telling her she was being arrested for intervening in an active investigation. Ms. Gomez convinced local Uvalde police officers, whom she knew, to persuade the federal marshals to set her free. Around her, the scene was frantic. She said she saw a father tackled and thrown to the ground by police and a third pepper sprayed. Once freed from her cuffs, Ms. Gomez made her distance from the crowd, jumped the school fence, and ran inside to grab her 2 children. She sprinted out of the school with them. Ms. Gomez, Frank, is every parent who put their body in front of a bullet in their kid's body. Every parent would trade their life for their children's life. Now, I'm not questioning protocols, but I am questioning what happened in an hour when we know what happened. 19 babies were slaughtered and 2 of their teachers.
An hour to do anything about it. In fact, they were far more concerned in putting literal parents, begging them to do something in handcuffs, than they were interested in barging in and doing their jobs to save those children. So I want to start off with this video. Someone who was on the scene at the time was recording as the parents were begging the police to do something. One of the parents was tackled to the ground and pepper sprayed. It's hard to see it because the person who was filming this wasn't holding the camera steadily and all of that, but at least you get a sense of the chaotic situation. Let's take a look. They later put a mother in handcuffs because she was asking them too aggressively to go in and save her children. We'll get to those details in just a moment, but I want to give you the timeline because it's now become abundantly clear that police officials are either lying to reporters or they're withholding information, because we were also told that there was an armed resource officer who engaged with the shooter prior to the shooter going into that 4th grade classroom and barricading himself. Now they're changing their story and saying that is not the case. So which one is it, and why are we getting bad information? Let me give you a timeline based on reporting from the Washington Post. This is what shows that police did nothing for about an hour. Authorities agree that the gunman was dead by 1 p.m., but have offered conflicting accounts as to whether the attack began around 11:30 a.m. or closer to noon. By 11:43 a.m., the school announced on Facebook that it was under lockdown. Remember that time, 11:43 a.m., citing gunshots in the area. The students and staff are safe in the building, it said. Now, in public transmissions on a radio channel used by local EMS workers, someone said at 11:53 a.m. that a lieutenant had requested a response to the area of the school. As the response was discussed, one official was heard telling first responders, "Please just stay back." By 12:10 p.m., a Facebook live stream recorded outside the front of the school showed police cars had established a perimeter. Helicopters were flying overhead and onlookers had gathered. 7 minutes later, school authorities announced on social media there was an active shooter at Robb Elementary. Now, after hearing the shooting, authorities said a tactical team formed a stack formation and eventually breached the classroom door and killed Ramos, the shooter, in a shootout. Ramos was in the room for some time before police entered, and it was unclear whether he killed the students when he first barricaded himself or just before the police breached the room. Now, here's where it gets interesting, and it proves that they clearly had done nothing for about an hour. Shots were still being heard at 12:52 p.m., an hour later. According to radio recordings, at 1:06 p.m., Uvalde police announced on social media that the attack...
Make no mistake, I be on my BI 25A, 15 flat, 365 straight. Texas is where I stay, so here you mean ain't great. Ain't no days off, make no mistake. I be on my BI 25A, 15 flat.